Hey guys, it's Girl Got Game, and we've got another Gander for everybody today. We're going to check out Reanimation Scheme, which is made by Wind Chimes Games, as you saw in the beginning. They reached out to me a few weeks ago, but unfortunately I was busy at the time, but I am finally got some spare moments, to take a look at their demo for Reanimation Scheme. They currently have a Kickstarter, actually. They have about 2 weeks left, and I think they're 87% of the way to their goal, so congrats! Hopefully they'll get that last little bit of funding that they need. But to get the background into what this game's about, the story... well, first off, before I get into the story, there is a content warning. There is some content or themes that may not be suitable for all ages, such as mild swearing, death, alcohol, blood, and violence, so keep that in mind before you play the demo yourself or watch this video. And the story is, as a necromancer, Raenelle Talisko, I hope I'm saying that right, is tasked with the job of reanimating the corpses of the recently deceased to help them fulfill their last wishes. Between the never-ending workload and the myriad of angry or distraught spirits she has to deal with, Raenelle longs for a vacation, and more importantly, a promotion to a different position. As though the 12 Deities have heard Raenelle's prayers, all the spirits somehow vanish overnight, giving her the break she's been asking for. That is, until Raenelle is summoned to the headquarters of the Imperial Necromancy Authority, along with all death mages tasked with resolving this crisis that has thrown the kingdom into panic. Unfortunately, there is no time for Raenelle to rest, not when she finds herself becoming increasingly entangled in the mystery of the missing spirits, discovering much more than she asked for. Okay, so that's our story. Now, just a second, I need to... Alright, I had to get my OBS back up on the second screen. I always thought 2 screens would be enough for playing games, but apparently I need a 3rd screen. Anyway, we are done with that. The 3 people you see on the screen are the love interests, and there are stretch goals for 2 more, one of whom is this cat, which is actually a familiar, which I'm very excited to meet. And yeah, I like the whole premise of this game. It sounds very interesting. There's some partial voice acting, and the demo is 3 chapters long. I don't know how long each chapter is, but we'll try to do at least chapter 1 in this Gander, and yeah, see what we think about it, guys. So, can I can only quit now. Oh no, did I break it? I broke it by getting into the, getting my OBS up. Hold on, let me try. Hello? Oh, it almost worked for a second. There we go. Now I got it. Okay. Tech difficulties aside, let's get into this game, shall we? I will get professional at this one day. 1. Reanimation rights. I almost said I and then realized that's a Roman numeral for 1. There we are. Reanimation Scheme service provider in Srianadni. Promotion request pending. Poor. We are very poor. You can change your name if you want to. That's okay. We'll keep the default name for this.
Raenelle.
There you go. Then you can have the voice acting, which is great. Are you neglecting your work again? I suppose I'm not surprised at all. Oh, hello, cute kitty cat. Sebastian's voice pulls me out of my thoughts, and I turn to look at my familiar floating towards me, sprawled lazily on a book enchanted with air magic. Now that's the way to travel. I hastily withdraw my hand from the mirror, ending the steady stream of magic flowing through the connection. A swirl of colors with indecipherable runes appear on the surface of the mirror for a short moment before a peaceful purple returns, its faint glow casting a soft light on the ground. Can I just say, I love the entire background for this. It is so detailed and gorgeous. I love it. I was taking a break. Surely I'm allowed to rest at some point? You woke up less than an hour ago. Well... It was a very productive and exhausting hour, I assure you. I earned my break. His ears twitch as though he can sense my lie, and he stares at me with narrowed eyes for another moment before turning away with a sigh.
I suppose
I should just be satisfied that you actually woke up at a decent, normal hour for the first time in your life.
I punctuate the end of his sentence with a well-timed yawn, and Sebastian regards me with exasperation. The first and last time, remind me to never do this again, not even to check if I got my promotion. I can't help the fact that I'm a night owl through and through. I hear you, girl.
Huh?
Why did you even bother waking early for the results anyway? We both know you won't get promoted. How many times have you been rejected?
Going for low blows now, I see. Well, I know exactly how to retaliate. Not as many times as you've lost to me in Scryer's spell point. If I were you, I'd have given up by now. Clearly, the cards don't like you. Sebastian glowers at me, and I flash him an innocent grin. Oh. In response, he leaps onto my desk and flicks his tail, knocking half of the items to the ground. You are a cat.
Hey!
Get back to work. There's an endless queue of spirits with unfulfilled last wishes waiting for you to summon and reanimate them. If you ever want that promotion, you really should consider working harder. With another swish of his tail, Sebastian hops off the desk and struts out of the room without a glance backwards. Well, he got the last say. I can't believe I'm stuck with that cat for 3 more years until my cousin graduates. Staring at the mess on my floor, I let out a sigh and reach for the papers I need, kicking the rest to the side of the room to deal with later. I smooth the crinkled sheets as best as I can. Then I squint at the name and portrait of my next client, skimming over the information in his biography.
Right.
Jory Hallwyn, 22 years of age. I moved to stand closer to the first sigil etched onto the ground, my eyes fluttering shut. Ooh, fancy. Drawing upon the spirit essence deep within me, I begin chanting the spell to summon the spirit. As the last syllable of the incantation leaves my mouth, my magic rushes towards the sigil. The magic reserve in my body continues to empty at a rapid speed. After a minute of the process with no sign of an end, my eyes fly open in concern. Unusual. A spirit summoning spell shouldn't require this much magic to channel, nor this long to complete. Ooh, that's pretty. I concentrate on the sensation of magic essence flowing through my veins before leaving my body. I quickly realize that the stream is threatening to break from my control. Uh-oh. What in the name of Ziana? I've never had this happen before. If only our familiar was here. Right as I make the decision to end the spell early, a pulsing glow surrounds the sigil, indicating the spell's success. The temperature of the room plummets and a soft mist starts to gather in the room. Ah. Amidst the fog, a pale figure slowly appears. Unable to make out the hazy facial features to ensure I've called upon the right spirit, I call out.
Jory Hallwyn?
Are you Jory? He starts at the sound of my voice, lifting his head. I take a step closer to get a better look at his face. All of a sudden, a sharp stab of pain explodes in my chest. I double over, a loud gasp forced from my lips. Just as quickly, the pain melts away. My magic completely spins out of my control, surging from my body towards the sigil in the room. Ziana, what's happening? Despite my best attempts to cut off the invisible magic thread between the sigil and myself, I failed to regain control of my magic. I would curse the situation, but being rapidly drained of my magic causes an aching sense of exhaustion to consume me. My knees give way beneath me and I fall to the ground. Struggling to maintain consciousness, I lift my head with great effort. My eyes widen at the peculiar sight in front of me. The spirit I've summoned seems to be absorbing the magic from the sigil, growing less and less transparent until I can no longer see the wall through his body. Yeah, he, slowly became more, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, less transparent. For lack of a better word. I can't think. The word I had was there and then it was just gone. But that was a nice effect. Nice touch. Is he causing this somehow? It's not even possible, is it? Oh, he flickers in and out of view, growing dangerously transparent as though he's about to disperse at any moment before solidifying again. His pale face contorts in confusion and pain. A few seconds later, he crumples into a heap on the ground. Great. Now there's 2 people I need to save, myself and the spirit. Except I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. As a reanimator desensitized to death, I'm not afraid of the inevitable end. Though of all the ways I thought I'd go, I never thought it'd be like this. I can already see tomorrow's headlines of the Nallenshire Crier. Reanimator dies from failed spirit summoning spell. There's an almost beautiful kind of irony in that statement. Ziana, imagine when my spirit gets summoned for my own reanimation rites. Imagine the embarrassment. No, I can't give up like this. I refuse to be known as the first death mage to die this way. Think, Raenelle, think. What can I do? Desperately trying to keep my eyes open, I turn my gaze onto the sigil that's now glowing with such ferocity that it almost hurts my eyes. I don't know what's causing this. Something clearly went wrong with the spirit summoning spell. What if I destroy this sigil? Would it cut off the spell? I don't know if it would work, but I don't have more time to consider other ideas. Fueled by my strong desire to not have my legacy be the first reanimator in history to die from a simple spirit summoning spell, I begin dragging myself towards the glowing sigil. Drawing upon the remaining pitiful amounts of death magic inside me, I press my hand to the white lines on the ground. Ignoring the hot glow against my skin, I mutter an incantation. A small crack appears in the floor, cutting a runic symbol in half. Unfortunately, the crack does not extend far enough to reach a second rune. I mentally swear to myself. I can already feel my condition worsening just from these small efforts. The exhaustion becomes even more acute, and my body grows colder as darkness threatens to overwhelm me. Panting, I shift my hand to another central rune of the sigil and attempt to cast the destruction spell again. Well, hello! I hear the sounds of footsteps hurrying towards me, and I look up to see Sebastian in his human form, dashing into the room with an almost horrified expression written across his face.
What in the name of the 12 Deities?
Goodness gracious me.
How did you manage to mess up this badly, Raenelle? Cut off the spell, Raenelle! Are you an idiot?
If I had the energy to roll my eyes at him, I would. Does he really think I haven't tried already? I can sense Sebastian releasing a huge burst of death magic, which surrounds him like an invisible aura. A deep crease appears between his eyebrows, and his volume raises along with his panic.
What did you do? How is this happening? I don't know how to stop this. Answer me, Raenelle!
Is this any way to treat a dying person? Swallowing several retorts on the tip of my tongue, I gasp out a few words, hoping it will be enough for him to understand.
Sigil. Destroy. Runes.
Huh?
It takes him a moment, but when my words sink in, he springs into action. Rushing towards the sigil, he focuses his attention on the biggest core runes etched onto the ground and murmurs a familiar incantation under his breath. A moment later, small cracks stretch across the ground, ruining the shape of the runic symbols. Nice, thank you, Sebi. Almost immediately, the mist caused by my spirit summoning spell clears, and the depletion of my magic slows to a crawl, eventually coming to an end. I finally allow myself to relax, not even caring that I'm lying face down on the cold, hard floor. I couldn't move even if I wanted to, with my limbs feeling like they weigh 1,000 tons. Now that the threat of imminent death is over, I can feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins fade bit by bit, and the edges of my vision blur. I close my eyes, trying to keep my breakfast down as the wave of nausea hits me. In between sucking in deep breaths like a fish out of water, I can't help but grumble out loud with a long, drawn-out sigh.
Ziana, I hate my job.
Nice. Okay, so I pronounced Ziana correctly. I sense Sebastian approaching me, lowering himself to sit on the floor next to me.
I just can't leave you alone for even a minute, huh? Wonderful. Just wonderful. What kind of mage are you? Can't believe you're a Talisko. I didn't want to be any part of this. All right, yes, I did agree to be the familiar companion for every Talisko death mage upon graduation, but I thought it'd be easy. It was easy. Until you. Dear 12 Deities, why are you punishing me like this?
Despite the harsh words that continuously leave his mouth in a frustrated rant, he shifts closer to me with the aura of death magic around him growing in intensity, which eases the pain in my chest caused by my severe lack of magic essence. You wouldn't think that having a bunch of death magic around you would be good, but apparently in this case it is. Eventually, his rant trails off into nothing. We sit there without speaking, and I keep my eyes closed as I try my best to recover my magic. When color starts to return to my face, Sebastian finally breaks the silence.
What happened?
What did you even do?
Look here.
It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything. It just happened. I resent that you immediately assume I messed up.
All right.
Then whose fault was it?
Huh? How am I supposed to know? Not mine, at least. My spell was successful, I tell you. Mr. Spirit Jory over there is my proof. Sebastian arches an eyebrow at me, evidently still dubious about my innocence in this matter. A sudden expression of confusion and surprise crosses his face, and his head whips around, his eyes searching for the spirit in question.
Raenelle?
Didn't you already end the spirit summoning spell?
What?
Still rather dizzy from the recent ordeal, I attempt to push myself up to a sitting position, wincing at the pain present in every part of my body. I feel like I've just accidentally stepped onto a barely passable teleportation sigil made by an apprentice mage. Of course, you helped me destroy the sigil, remember?
Why?
But why?
Then why is the spirit still here?
I blink. That thought had not occurred to me.
Oh.
Well, that's a very good question. Now we can see the other potential stretch goal love interest. I follow Sebastian's gaze and stare at the unfamiliar addition in the room, who has been lying on the floor like a corpse all this time. His hood has fallen off his head, revealing his unconscious face. If unconscious is even the right word to describe a spirit. Can a spirit die? And leave behind a corporeal body?
Impossible.
Don't be silly.
Very slowly inching forward. As firm as Sebastian's tone was, the hesitation in his movements as he climbs to his feet and starts inching towards the spirit reveals his uncertainty. Standing over the spirit, Sebastian frowns. Death magic flows from him, directed towards the spirit as I watch on dubiously. It takes a minute, but the spirit eventually begins to stir. Sebastian's eyes light up at the small movement.
All right.
There. Told you he couldn't be dead.
Wrong.
He's a spirit, remember? Sebastian stares blankly at me as it takes him a moment to get my joke.
Very funny.
Our exchange is cut short when the spirit leaps to his feet, shaking his head as though to clear it.
Golly gallops!
Wow, golly gallops.
What was that? Who are you people? How do you know my name? Where am I? What is this place? Why am I here? Wait, I'm alive? How am I alive? What happened?
He hasn't paused to breathe even once during his rapid-fire volley of questions, and I can feel my head starting to spin again. Pressing a hand to my right temple, I idly wonder if this is how he usually speaks, or if it's due to the lack of need to breathe as a deceased spirit.
Jory Hallwyn?
I assume you are Jory Hallwyn? I'm Raenelle Talisko, the reanimator in charge of your reanimation rites.
Huh?
What?
Reanimator? Reanimation rites?
He quietens for a moment, and I sigh, bracing myself for the hysterics that so often follow as soon as my clients come to the realization that they've already passed away. To my surprise, Jory seems to shrug off his death and his cheerful smile returns.
Oh well, should have known I couldn't have miraculously lived. Feeling so unusually well should have been the tell. Looks like dying might have made me even dumber than before, eh?
I can't help but raise an eyebrow. Joking about his own death already?
Ah!
I told Ma not to waste her gold on that reanimating thing, but of course she didn't listen.
Despite my less than favorable feelings towards my job, I feel obliged to correct him on the name. Reanimation Scheme.
Ah, yes! Right!
That thing. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Raenelle Talisko. Thanks for, whatever you did. Can I call you Ray? Or Nellie? Ray Ray?
Uh-huh. The spirit draws closer to where I'm sitting. He crouches down so that we're about the same height and claps me on the shoulder in a friendly gesture. Would he be able to do that? Still weak from my near-death encounter, I almost fall over from the force. And my pure astonishment that I could actually feel his touch. Yeah, I was wondering about that. So shocked that I don't even remember to respond to his suggestion of nicknames. Did I fall asleep during a particularly important lesson at the Academy about spirits that don't just pass through every object they come into contact with? I turn silently to look at Sebastian, who has the most dumbfounded expression on his face as his stare tries to burn a hole into Jory's hand on my shoulder.
You look like you're in low spirits.
Ha ha, very funny. You like puns, don't you?
Everything okay?
He pauses before chuckling to himself.
Get it?
Low spirits?
I grow even more speechless, unsure how to react. The Academy did not prepare me for the day I'm faced with a spirit that can not only touch material objects, but also makes bad puns about being a spirit. I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
Great!
So how does this reanimating thing work? Should I close my eyes? Will I find myself back in my body? How long does it last? What am I allowed or not allowed to do? How do I come back?
How am I supposed to cast the reanimation spell without an ounce of magic left? Not to mention, this turn of events grows more and more peculiar by the moment. I need to regain control over the situation somehow.
Sorry.
Actually, I'm sorry, but there's been a problem with the spirit summoning spell just now.
Ah, yes! Right!
Was that what happened? That was some really strange...
Yes.
So we're going to delay your reanimation rites for a bit while we look into this. You'll be returned to where you came from, and we'll summon your spirit again when everything's ready.
It's okay.
Aw, really? Well, it's okay. It can't be helped. I get it. I'll wait.
Right.
Thank you for understanding. Sebastian here will handle the spell to send you back. Sebastian finally comes back to his senses at the sound of his name, still looking as though he's seen a ghost, which I remarked to myself with amusement is the case. He gives a curt nod. He stares at Jory for a beat longer before raising his hand, and the familiar incantation fills the room. It doesn't take long before a purple glowing sigil appears at the tip of Sebastian's fingers. The mist surrounds Jory once more, and he peers at it with curiosity and excitement. It's like, that's it. All of a sudden, the sigil shatters without a sound. The fog disperses, revealing Jory's figure still standing in the room. Jory lifts his head in confusion, blinking at us.
Huh?
I'm still here? What happened?
Sebastian frowns, and a different incantation pours from his lips as he attempts the reanimation spell instead. The corresponding sigil etched on the opposite side of the room flickers to life. Yet, just a moment later, the glow begins to grow fainter and fainter. At the fading glow, Sebastian's jaw clenches in concentration, and he increases his channeling of magic essence towards the sigil. His efforts prove to be in vain. Once again, the symbol hanging in the air in front of Sebastian explodes into splinters. The sigil on the ground returns to its inactive state with no sign of any glow in sight. Sebastian appears to have transformed into a statue in his shock, his arm still frozen in its lifted position. I try to hide my own bewilderment as I jump to my feet, ignoring the wave of dizziness caused by my sudden movement. Ziana, what's going on here? As much as I hate to admit it, Sebastian's a much more powerful death mage than I am. A simple reverse spirit summoning spell and a reanimation spell shouldn't pose any challenge for him. Why didn't it work? How's that even possible? It takes great effort for me to force a courteous smile on my face as I address Jory. Looks like the problem may be more complicated than expected.
It's okay.
I understand. That's fine. These things happen. You know, at least it didn't go as horribly as the time Vemic from the village at the foot of the hills tried to hold a reanimation rites of his own. He swore he had the potential to be a death mage, and he called all his friends over to watch, and golly gallops, you would not believe what happened.
I cut off his rambling.
Right.
Please, just stay here for now. Make yourself at home. I offer a taut smile to the spirit, who gives me a sanguine grin in return. I then hurry over to Sebastian and grab his arm, pulling him to the side of the room.
What in the name of Ziana?
Is going on? Did you mess up the spells just now?
Of course not.
As if you even need to ask. Then why didn't they work?
You tell me.
I don't know. You're the one who summoned this spirit. Is it even a spirit?
What?
Of course he is. How else would a man just appear in my study like that?
What are we supposed to do now? I can't redirect his spirit to his body for reanimation, nor can I send him back to the spirit realm.
I can only shrug in return. I'm at as much of a loss as he is. The pounding in my head worsens, but I have to force myself to think. I could contact the headquarters for help, but what if they determine it's my fault and lowers my chance of getting that promotion? Priorities. On the other hand, it might actually make me look worse if they catch wind of what happened and realize I kept it under wraps instead of reporting the incident to them. Maybe I should ask Aldrius instead. He's always poring over those boring ancient scrolls from the headquarters library. He could have come across something that will shed some light on the situation. And my best friend wouldn't tattle on me to the authority. Or we could just try to figure this out ourselves first. If we fix this problem, we don't have to get anyone else involved. My gaze falls on the ruined sigil on the ground, and an idea begins to form in my head. Perhaps the reason why Jory is lingering in the living world is because the sigil he's summoned by is destroyed, and the one who summoned him wasn't the one attempting to send him back? Might be a long shot, but possibly worth trying first. Oh boy. Well, this is a troubling situation. What should I do? Side note, love the choice selection interface. That's cool. We could... I don't think this is a good idea. This is the responsible thing to do. I do want to meet our best friend, though. You know what? Let's ask our best friend for help. Oh no, did I break it again? Hold on. Oh, I had it for a second. Okay, I can use the arrow keys? Okay. Does that... It worked! Nice, okay. Right. Aldrius has helped me out of several sticky situations before. Maybe he'll have an idea this time as well. At the very least, even if he doesn't have a clue, I can rant about this horrible morning to him to make myself feel better. I think I'll try to contact Aldrius first. Maybe he can help.
I suppose.
I suppose that can work. Your choice. Will you tell Aldrius about him, Mr. Spirit Jory? You know what will happen if the Authority discovers Jory's existence, right? I frown. Something about Sebastian's tone tells me he's not referring to something nice.
What?
You've ever seen a spirit that was corporeal? Doubt they have either. You can guess what they'll do to him once they hear of this. Perhaps even you.
Oh.
Oh dear. Well, I'm glad I didn't report it to the authorities. I fall quiet. Although Sebastian's words are quite vague, he's said enough for me to understand what he's insinuating. Not good. The atmosphere between us grows heavy, and I clear my throat to break the uncomfortable silence.
Right.
Well, I could ask Aldrius to keep this a secret from the authority, but... it's probably better if I just don't let him know in the first place. I'll leave Jory out of it when I ask him for help. Some of the clouds clear from Sebastian's face, and he nods in agreement.
All right.
While you do that, I'll see if I can find anything useful in the books.
And all, well, he's gone. I nod in agreement. Sebastian takes his leave, and I let out another heavy sigh before walking towards the mirror. Thankfully, it doesn't take much magic to activate the mirror for communication purposes, and I'm able to establish a connection to the headquarters even in my weakened state. Hey, there he is. It takes much longer than usual before I finally get a response from Aldrius. When Aldrius's familiar face emerges on the surface of the mirror, I can't help but note that he looks more frazzled than usual.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for the wait.
His eyes focus on mine, and he breaks out into a gentle smile.
Ray.
Aw, so cute.
It's you. Hello. I wasn't expecting to hear from you at this hour.
Hey!
Are you making fun of my sleeping schedule too? You've been around Sebastian too much. Aldrius dips his head and gives a chuckle, smiling at me with fondness.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to tease you. To what do I owe the pleasure?
I need your help. Ziana, you would not believe what just happened. I almost died, Aldi. I was an inch away from death's embrace. Aldrius' soft smile melts into an expression of alarm, and he seems to step closer to the mirror, peering at me in concern.
Oh no.
What happened? Are you alright?
I began to fill him in on the events of this morning, being careful to leave the parts about a certain spirit out of my tale. He listens attentively, a frown forming on his forehead, and I notice him shifting his weight from side to side in unease. When I finish my venting, Aldria stays silent for a minute, his face looking quite troubled. Eventually, he offers me a small smile with a gentle shake of his head.
You have had quite an eventful morning, haven't you?
One that I'd much rather go without. This is why I never wake up early.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Raenelle, but I'm afraid I won't be able to help with your problem. You see, you're not the only one experiencing difficulties and oddities with the spirit summoning spell. While I didn't experience any danger, I haven't been able to summon a single spirit since last night.
One of my eyebrows shoots up in surprise. That's not what I expected at all.
What in the name of Ziana?
Really? What's happening? Aldria spreads his arms in front of him in a helpless gesture.
I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to find out. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's not your fault. I knew it was unlikely you'd know anything about the situation, but I figured I'd give it a shot anyway. I flash him a reassuring smile to set him at ease, which he returns, but it doesn't quite reach his eyes.
I haven't been able to get in contact with the headquarters in the past hour either.
That's odd. I was talking to one of the mages from the headquarters about my promotion application earlier this morning.
Well, a normal workday just started half an hour ago. Perhaps we aren't the only ones experiencing problems with summoning spirits, so the headquarters had their hands full with reanimators reporting these issues as they discover them.
Well, there goes my any chances of hearing back from them about my possible promotion today. Great.
I guess
I'll head to the headquarters and see what's the situation there.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a good... Wait! Don't tell them what happened to me.
Oh.
But Raenelle, I think it would help them to know.
No.
Look here, if they hear that I almost died from a spirit summoning spell, I'll never be able to live that down. And you know I'm trying to secure that promotion at work. This would reflect so badly on me. There's a reason I approached you and not headquarters.
I mean...
But it wasn't your fault.
Aldi.
Aldi. It doesn't matter. Aldi, please. I trusted you. Don't let me down now. I clasp my hands together and widen my eyes, giving him my best pleading look. His resolve visibly wavers, and then his face softens as he gives a quick jerk of his head in agreement.
I guess.
All that blush, though.
Alright, I guess I'll keep you out of it.
Thank you.
You're the best, Aldi. Aldria shakes his head with a low laugh.
I'll head out now. I'll let you know if I hear anything. Meanwhile, please get some rest, Raenelle. You had a difficult morning.
Right.
I'll see you later, then. Remember, don't repeat my incident to anyone else. Aldria spits me farewell after promising to keep my secret once more, and we both end the communication spell. Okay, we got a little bit of info there. Well then, Aldrius may not have been able to help me with my problem, but at least I heard some useful news. It's good to know that I'm not the only one affected by this strange issue. Nothing I can do but wait for more news from Aldrius or the headquarters. Perfect. I finally have a foolproof reason to take a break from work. Dragging my tired feet behind me, I turn to leave the room for my comfortable bed that is calling my name upstairs.
Watch out!
Oh, well... My path is abruptly interrupted by a flying potion bottle, which soars through the air before landing right next to my desk and shattering into tiny pieces. The puddle of liquid starts spreading slowly, creeping towards my feet. I can only stare wordlessly, and then twist my head around to shift my gaze to the spirit responsible, who has apparently embraced his new status as a non-living being, and is pursuing a career in being a poltergeist.
Oops.
That ankle! That's adorable.
Sorry, my hand slipped. I'll clean that up later. Hey, Raenelle, these potions look really interesting. What do they do? Can I try?
I take a deep breath, holding it for a moment before letting it rush out of me in a loud exhale. Ignoring Jory entirely, I continue my path towards my bedroom. I'm going back to sleep. I'll figure this out tomorrow. Somehow. But for now, I deserve some rest. Good night. Oh, or not.
Raenelle?
Wake up, Raenelle. I said wake up!
I bolt upright in the bed, my eyes flying open.
What?
What? What? What is it? What's the matter? Is it an earthquake? A tornado? Are we dying? My mind's still fuzzy from being rudely pulled out of my sleep. I can barely process what's happening.
Of course not.
Shut up before you jinx us and bring a natural disaster upon us.
Wait.
Nobody's dying? Well, then why'd you wake me? My alertness fades away at the realization that there isn't an actual emergency that requires my attention. Exhaustion and sleepiness creep up on me again, and I fall backwards onto the bed, pulling the covers up to my chin. Good night, Sebastian.
Raenelle?
Oh. The cold air attacks my body as my blanket disappears, causing me to flinch. I open my eyes to glare up at Sebastian, who's towering over my bed with a scowl.
Ziana.
Is the girl not allowed to sleep? What do you want?
Do you know what time it is? It's almost midnight. You've slept the entire day away, Raenelle.
Look here.
It's not like there's any work to do with that whole mess going on.
How can you even sleep so peacefully after everything that happened? Aren't you concerned at all?
I try to roll away from him, but he grabs my arm to make sure I can't escape. Peering at him through eyelids that are barely cracked open, I let out a loud yawn. Aldi will take care of it. Nothing I can do but wait for him to get back to me. Sebastian gives me a look full of disdain and exasperation. He looks like he wants to launch into another round of scolding, but doesn't even know where to begin. I love Sebastian.
Oh, for the love of the 12 deities. No, Raenelle, you can't just sit here and wait for everyone else to solve your problems for you.
He pulls my pillow out from beneath my head and throws it across the room. Watching it soar through the air, I stretch my arms as far as possible, desperately trying to retrieve my pillow but failing to reach it.
Hey!
Come on.
Raenelle, it's time to get up. I need you to try something.
Can't you have some mercy on me? I almost died today. I'm exhausted.
When are you ever not exhausted anyway? You always claim that. Any side effects from overuse of magic should have passed when you absorbed my death magic. Enough excuses. Now get up!
By now, after all this commotion, alertness has settled in enough to replace my sleepiness. Knowing I won't be able to fall back asleep for a while, nor would I be allowed to try, I push myself up into a sitting position once again and let out a long sigh. What do you want, you annoying furball?
All right.
Go to the study. I want you to attempt another spirit summoning spell.
What?
Did you manage to send Jory back to the spirit realm?
Of course not.
He's still in your study.
Then why are you bothering me about this? You know I can't summon two spirits at once, yet you berate me for forgetting the fundamentals of being a death mage. Sebastian sighs and speaks through gritted teeth.
Yes, I know that. Thank you very much. But I myself have been having difficulty summoning a spirit, and considering the many oddities about the spirit you've summoned, I just want to see if it would somehow be different for...
Sebastian stops speaking abruptly and whips his head around, peering in an opposite direction. Confusion crosses his face and he narrows his eyes.
Huh?
Did my detection barrier around the perimeter just get triggered?
What?
Someone's coming? At this hour? Who? Since when do I get visitors?
True.
When do you? Do you even know a single person in Srinadni?
I shoot him a scathing glance that lets him know exactly how I feel about his jab. Well, clearly someone knows me if they're paying me a visit. I slide off the bed with reluctance.
Right.
Fine, I should go wait at the door.
Huh?
You're getting out of bed willingly? But no, stay here. I'll slip out of the house to see who it is first.
I cock my head, raising an eyebrow. He sure is being cautious. Is he that on edge because of what happened today? Oh. Before I can express my doubts about his plan, a burst of death magic erupts from him, coupled with a blinding flash of light.
Sebastian!
Wait! Raising my arm instinctively to block out the light, I squint at the door just in time to see Sebastian dash out of the room in his cat form.
Kitty!
Oh no.
A cat!
An excited yell fills the room. I almost leap out of my skin, taken aback by the sudden outburst.
Jory!
Ziana, is that you? I whip my head from side to side, but I don't see any sign of the red-hooded spirit. What? Am I starting to hallucinate from my exhaustion?
Jory?
Where are you?
Can't find me? I'm right here!
Oh, well that's handy. Before my very eyes, a faint figure appears bit by bit. It grows more solid and vivid by the moment until finally, I see Jory's excited face before mine.
What in the name of Ziana?
Jory doesn't seem to notice my shock. He points in the direction where Sebastian disappears, his eyes wide as saucers.
Golly gallops!
That expression, though.
Was that your friend, Sebastian? Golly gallops, he's a cat? He can, what's that word called? Right, yes! He can shapeshift? Is he really a cat? How does he do that? Golly gallops, I'm so glad I decided to wander around the house to look for him. I was just about to walk into the room and lo and behold, I see him disappear with a cat left in his place instead. Golly gallops, I can hardly believe this. This is amazing.
I don't even have time to further ponder this startling discovery as I'm slapped in the face by a more pressing problem. Sebastian accidentally exposed his secret in front of Jory. Whoops. Well, I have no choice. I can only deny it till my last breath.
No.
No, you must be mistaken. I do own a cat, which is probably what you just saw earlier, but it's most definitely not Sebastian. Out of the corner of my eye, I catch sight of Sebastian's pile of clothes in the spot where he had shapeshifted. Inching as discreetly as possible towards them, I kick them under my bed in a swift movement. Whoop!
Huh?
Really? Then where did Sebastian go?
Well...
He was so impatient to get to the door that he... teleported? I wince inwardly as I lie through my teeth, hoping that Jory's lack of knowledge about magic will allow him to believe my words. Jory tilts his head at me, pursing his lips but doesn't object further. I heave a sigh of relief thinking I've convinced him, but he suddenly lets out a chuckle.
Is this shapeshifting supposed to be a secret? No problem, I'll keep my lips sealed.
He winks at me and flashes me a grin and reassurance, but I don't feel reassured at all. I curse at Sebastian in my head, even though I know he's not really at fault. Who would expect Jory to walk in at that very moment, and while invisible as well? We really need to find a way to send him back to the spirit realm. I finally understand why the 12 Deities made spirits incorporeal but at least visible. Because entities that you can't see are a pain to deal with.
Look here!
I really don't know what you're talking about. Shapeshifters don't exist, I tell you.
Yep, you're right.
He agrees, but he has such a cheeky smile on his face that it's obvious he doesn't actually believe a word I say. Forget it. What can he do with Sebastian's secret anyway? Who can he tell, and who would believe him? He's just a spirit, an extremely odd one, but one nonetheless. Never mind. Please, just forget what you saw.
Great!
Yep, of course. But hey, Ray, guess what?
Without waiting for my response, he continues.
You just let the cat out of the bag.
Oh no. He collapses into laughter as though that's the funniest thing he's ever heard. It's pretty good. My lips twitch in response, unsure whether to be speechless or amused at his puns in this situation. In the end, I can only offer him a weak smile and try to change the subject.
Right.
Well, Jory, do you mind making yourself scarce for a bit? Since, you know, there's a visitor arriving soon, I don't think it's the best idea for whoever it is to see a spirit just casually floating by. He recollects himself, wiping some non-existent tears away from the corners of his eyes before grinning at me with a playful salute.
Ah, yes! Right!
Got it. Wouldn't want to give any poor souls a heart attack.
He begins to fade away again, and his cheerful whistling grows fainter and fainter as he walks out of the room. I think I made a mistake. A disembodied voice whistling a haunting melody echoing down the hallway is worse than a spirit that flickers in and out of view at will. And where is Sebastian anyway? Why is he still not back? Who in the name of Ziana is paying me a visit at midnight? I can't help but feel an inkling of concern. Surely he couldn't have gotten into trouble, right? I debate with myself on what to do for a moment, massaging my temples as the pounding in my head returns.
Raenelle?
Are you alright? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Did I come at a bad time?
Oh, My eyes fly open at the sound of Aldrius's voice. I turn to find Aldrius entering the room with hesitance, a bag slung over his shoulder. At the sight of him, relief rushes over me.
Aldi!
So you're the visitor. Well, thanks, Ziana, you're here. Though I wasn't expecting you to come in person instead of just responding to me through the mirror.
Oh. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. I thought it would be easier to just talk while we're on the way to the headquarters.
Wait.
To the headquarters? Why?
Because you've been summoned, which you would know if you ever checked the pile of letters slipped under your door.
Sebastian comes floating in on his book once again, and I flick my eyes upwards in exasperation. I'll never understand his aversion to walking on four paws, even though he spent many more years as a cat than as a human before regaining the ability to shapeshift between the forms.
Well...
I was asleep the whole day.
That's exactly the problem. You're lucky Aldrius remembered you, knew this would happen, and took the time to drag you to the headquarters.
Sebastian sends me a sharp glare in exasperation, which I decidedly ignore. I notice something crumpled between his paws, and he bats at it with force, causing it to fly through the air towards me. I catch it with one hand, an eyebrow raising at the seal on the back of the unopened envelope. A letter from the headquarters? What does the Authority want from me? As if sensing my silent question, Aldrius speaks, rubbing the back of his neck as he explains.
The headquarters is summoning all death mages urgently. I received the same letter as well. Though really mine was rather unnecessary since I was already there at the headquarters.
What? Well, that's certainly unexpected. Frowning, I flop down on the bed and tear open the envelope. Aldrius takes it as his cue to pull a chair closer to my bed before making himself comfortable in the seat. I begin to skim through the contents of the letter. To my surprise, the letter isn't just summoning me to the headquarters. I'm expected to stay there for an unspecified period of time. In my years of working for the Imperial Necromancy Authority, and the years before that when my father was working for the Authority, I've never heard of this happening. Is this because of the mishaps with the spirit summoning spell that we discussed earlier?
Yes.
Just as I feared, it turns out that every every death mage has been having the same issues. Nobody has managed to successfully call upon a single spirit all day. So the Authority is calling for all death mages to gather in the headquarters as soon as possible, to put their heads together for a solution, I suppose.
My mouth falls open slightly. How could the spirit summoning spell stop working for death mages overnight? Actually, that can't be true. Not when there's a certain red-hooded spirit wandering my corridors as we speak. If not a single death mage has been able to summon a spirit today, why could I? And why is Jory displaying such unusual qualities for a spirit? I have the fleeting thought of telling Eldrius about Jory, but then I decide against it. Sebastian has a point. Who knows what the Authority would do to Jory, and perhaps me as well, if they found out about this inexplicable phenomenon. The last thing I want is to be involved in this mess. I'll decide how much and what I should say when I get to the headquarters, depending on how the situation unfolds. Next to me, Sebastian seems completely unaware of my internal struggles. He merely leaps to his feet, his tail shooting up high in the air as he completely forgets his composure.
Impossible.
Dear 12 Deities, that's impossible. All death mages? This is why I couldn't summon a spirit either when I tried.
I'm sorry.
But it is true.
What in the name of the 12 Deities?
But what in the name of the 12 Deities could have caused this? This doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
That's what the mages have been trying to find out.
Sebastian deflates, resting his head on his paws.
All right.
I suppose I should go prepare for our departure.
Wait.
You're coming along as well? Are you sure that's a good idea?
I suppose.
It should be fine. I'll go in the form of a cat as your familiar, and I'll be careful not to speak when others are around. Nobody will suspect a thing.
Without giving me a chance to argue, Sebastian leaves the room in a hurry. Fine. It's not my fault if he lets the secret slip again.
Well...
Do you have any idea how long we'll be staying at the headquarters?
I'm sorry.
I don't know. They didn't say.
I pursed my lips, slightly annoyed. I would normally rejoice at the idea of a prolonged break from work, but did the Authority have to decide to call for all death mages?
Well, we should probably leave for the headquarters as soon as possible.
What?
We're leaving now? But how are we going to get to the capital? Aldrius tilts his head and lifts his hand to his chin, clearly not following my train of thought.
Aldrius?
Do you know what time it is? We would have to walk all the way to Kellereth for the nearest teleportation square. A thought suddenly occurs to me, and I look Aldrius up and down, only just noticing the mud clinging to the corner of his coat.
Wait.
Speaking of that, did you actually walk here?
Oh, yes, but it's not too far of a walk.
Not too far. I mentally recall the hour it took to get to Kellereth last month when I had to purchase supplies. And that was by horse. I don't want to imagine how long it'd take to get there by foot.
Well...
Even so, we won't be able to get to the capital. At Aldrius's blank stare, I can't help but give a slight shake of my head. For someone so intelligent, he sure can be scatterbrained sometimes.
Aldi.
The teleportation squares outside of the major cities close their services at midnight, remember?
Oh no.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right, I forgot. Then should we rest for the night and leave first thing in the morning?
I make a small face at the second half of his suggestion, but I have no choice but to nod with a sigh. Alright. Well, you can stay in one of the spare bedrooms tonight if you like. You can take your pick.
Oh.
That would be great. Thank you. In that case, I'll go find myself a room then.
He moves to leave the room, but I call out his name, giving him pause.
Aldrius?
Wait.
Oh.
Yes, Ray? What is it?
Is it possible to not? Probably not. Are you alright? You look a bit anxious. I eye him in concern. It hasn't escaped my notice that he has bitten his lip at least 5 times during our conversation, which has always been a dead giveaway that he's troubled by something.
Oh.
And he's blushing again. Aldrius's hands flutter about as though he's not quite sure what to do with them, and a faint shade of pink spreads across his cheeks. He shifts his gaze away before answering.
Thank you.
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. I'm just worried about everything that has been going on.
The answer doesn't really surprise me. He has always liked to take things upon his own shoulders, even when they aren't his responsibilities. About being unable to summon spirits?
Yes.
But more than that.
Because she almost died? He hesitates, his lower lip disappearing between his teeth again and his eyebrows drawing together. He seems to bite back a few words before sighing.
Well, I just hope the authority contained the news among the necromancers. This could be bad if the people caught wind of this.
What do you mean?
Imagine finding out that none of the death mages can reach the spirit of your deceased loved ones. People are going to panic.
And blame the death mages? Aldrius gives a small cough and looks away, which I take as a confirmation. I scowl, folding my arms across my chest.
Right.
Of course they would. If not for the death mages, they wouldn't even be able to see their deceased family and friends one last time in the first place. Aldrius doesn't comment, pressing his lips together. A few moments later, the corner of his mouth turned up into a gentle, hopeful smile.
I mean...
I could be wrong. Perhaps they won't. I'm sure it'll turn out fine. The authority has hundreds of mages working on a solution as we speak.
I shrug, not quite sharing his optimism.
Don't worry. The authority has it under control, I'm sure.
Well...
Tell yourself that. I wasn't the one worried. You were. He blinks and then chuckles, his eyes twinkling with slight amusement.
Yes, you're right. It's silly of me to worry. Well, thank you for asking about me, Ray. I appreciate it.
He dips his head then, raising his hand to his mouth to cover a small yawn.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
I shoot him a concerned look, my gaze lingering on the dark circles framing the bottom of his eyes. You look tired. Have you been staying up all night reading again lately?
Sorry.
You know I lose track of time.
Typical Aldrius. I roll my eyes with a sigh and begin shooing him out of my room.
Aldi.
Go get some rest. You need it. Aldrius smiles at me again with a nod.
Well, then I'm going to turn in for the night. Good night, Ray.
Aldrius.
Good night. He backs out of the room, thoughtfully pulling the door closed behind him. I flop backwards on the bed with a sigh, spreading my arms out as I sink into the comfortable mattress. The headquarters of the Imperial Necromancy Authority. How long has it been since I was last there? 4 years? Maybe more? It's certainly going to be interesting. I let my eyes flutter shut, pushing all errant thoughts away from my mind. It doesn't take long before I succumb to the sweet oblivion of sleep. Was that the end of chapter 1? Hey! Chapter 2. Alright, well, we didn't meet the other 2 love interests, but we did get to meet Aldrius, who's looking very dapper today. My goodness. But the story is really great. I love it. And the art and the animation stuff really add a lot. It's very, very high quality. I'm quite surprised by that. And it's amazing, really. I had a lot of fun with this. I hope you guys enjoyed chapter 1. If you'd like to check out the demo yourself, I'll have the itch.io link in the description down below, and I also have the Kickstarter link down below as well, so if you would like to go and support Windchime's games and Reanimation Scheme, I hope you will go give them some love and some support, because this game looks really awesome. There's a neat mystery afoot, some really cool characters, and Sebi deserves a root, so we need to get his stretch goal achieved, because he's my favorite character. And yeah, I had a great time with this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, I will see you later.